The sound of iron hitting iron isn't just a noise, it is a language, and nobody speaks it better than Guts. You know that sound. It's the sound of a church bell falling from a tower, a deep, resonant clang that vibrates in your teeth and rattles your bones. That is exactly what filled the air on the Hill of Swords, a graveyard of dreams covered in a blanket of snow that felt too cold, too quiet, until he arrived. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to that moment. Because to understand how the entire history of the world changed, you have to understand the vibration of that single clash. It was the moment the beast met the struggler, and for the first time in 300 years, the beast hesitated. We are standing on the precipice of the greatest reunion in history. You remember the scene. It's iconic. The Hill of Swords. Rickert is there, innocent and confused, looking at the man he once called a friend. Casca is there, her mind shattered, hiding behind Guts like a frightened child. And standing atop the hill, bathed in a light that looks divine, but feels like absolute zero, is Griffith, the White Hawk, the man who sacrificed everything, literally everyone Guts ever loved, to become a god. And what does Guts do? Does he freeze? Does he cower? No. He draws that massive slab of iron, the Dragon Slayer. That sword that is too big to be called a sword. It's a heap of raw iron, and when Guts swings it, he isn't just swinging a weapon. He's swinging his trauma, his rage, his absolute refusal to die. He charges. The snow crunches under his boots, a frantic rhythm of vengeance. He leaps, the blade rising like a guillotine. And then, boom! He is stopped, not by Griffith, but by a wall of fur and muscle and ancient violence. Nosferatu Zodd, the immortal, the legendary swordsman who has slaughtered thousands in search of the ultimate strong one. Zodd blocks the dragon slayer with his own blade, sparks flying like fireworks against the gray sky. Now, in the original story, this is where Zodd acts as Griffith's loyal dog. He fights Guts to protect his new master. But listen closely, because this is where the thread of destiny snaps. This is where the what-if begins. Look at Zodd's face in that moment. Really look at it. For centuries, Zodd has wandered battlefields looking for a challenge. He fights the Skull Knight because the Skull Knight is the only thing that can survive him. Zodd lives for the struggle. He lives for the heat of blood, the uncertainty of death. He is an apostle, yes, but he is a warrior first. And what is Griffith now? Griffith is femto. Griffith is a member of the God Hand incarnated. Griffith is absolute causality. There is no fight with Griffith. There is only submission. When Zodd knelt before Griffith in the vision, he didn't do it out of respect. He did it because he was overpowered by a force of nature. It wasn't a duel. It was gravity. So, as Zodd locks blades with Guts, he looks down at this human, this mortal, this man who is bleeding from a brand on his neck that summons demons every single night. He feels the weight of the Dragon Slayer pressing down on him. It's heavy. It's impossibly heavy. And Zodd realizes something terrifying. Guts is stronger than he was at the eclipse. Guts is stronger than he was in the cave. This human is pushing back against an apostle with nothing but muscle and sheer, unadulterated hatred. "You have grown strong, human," Zodd rumbles, his voice like grinding stones. "Get out of my way." Guts roars, his teeth clench so hard they might crack. "He's mine." Zodd glances back at Griffith. The hawk is watching, impassive, unbothered. Griffith doesn't even have his sword drawn. He looks at this clash as if it were an insect buzzing against a window pane. And that look of absolute, godlike boredom, it ignites something in Zodd's ancient heart. It isn't loyalty. It's disgust. Zodd realizes that serving Griffith means the end of battle. If Griffith wins, if the Falcon of Light establishes his kingdom, the world becomes ordered, controlled, static. There will be no more struggle. There will be no more glorious chaos, just the silent, suffocating rule of a god who feels nothing. Zodd looks back at Guts. Guts is sweating, bleeding, eyes wide with the madness of a man fighting a hurricane. Guts is alive. Guts is the definition of struggle. The ultimate strong one, Zodd whispers, the words lost in the wind. He thought the ultimate strong one was the being who could defeat him. But perhaps strength isn't about power. Perhaps strength is about the ability to stand up when the entire universe pushes you down. Suddenly, the air shifts. Griffith raises a hand. The pressure of the god hand descends, a psychic weight that forces Rickert to his knees. It's the command. Griffith is silently ordering Zodd to finish it, to take Guts's head, to wipe out the last remnant of the old band of the Hawk. Zodd pushes Guts back, creating distance. Guts pants, heaving, readying the Dragon Slayer for another swing. He expects Zodd to transform. He expects the horns, the claws, the wings. He expects the monster. Instead, Zodd sheathes his sword. The sound is shocking. It's quieter than the clash, but it echoes louder. Click. Guts blinks, the rage momentarily confused by the break in pattern. What the hell are you doing? Zodd turns his back on Guts. He faces Griffith, the Immortal Nosferatu, the beast who has never bowed to anyone but the strongest, stares up at the White Hawk. I will not, Zodd says. Griffith's expression doesn't change, but the air grows colder. The snow stops falling mid-air. The world holds its breath. You will not? Griffith asks, his voice soft, melodic, and terrifying. I sought a master, Zodd growls, his hands clenching into fists. I sought the peak of power. I found it in you. But there is no blood in your veins, Hawk. There is no fire in your soul. You are ice. You are the end of the warrior's path, not the summit. Zodd points a clawed finger back at Guts. This human. He burns. He struggles against the current of causality that you control. To kill him now, at your command, would be to extinguish the only light left in this dull gray world. Guts stares. Rickert stares. Even Casca seems to stop her whimpering for a second. This is impossible. Apostles are programmed to obey. They are cells in the body of the God Hand. For Zodd to refuse is like your own hand refusing to make a fist. It is a violation of the laws of their reality. Griffith smiles. It's a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. I see. Then you are no longer useful to my dream, Zodd. You are just another stone in the path. The ground erupts, not from Zodd, but from the shadows behind Griffith. Other apostles have gathered, lesser ones, hiding in the woods, drawn by the presence of their king. They surge forward, a tide of twisted flesh and gnashing teeth, ready to tear the traitor apart. Guts! Zodd roars, and for the first time he uses the human's name, not as a mockery, but as an equal. Do not die today. Zodd transforms. The clothes rip away, revealing the massive, horned, minotaur-like demon we all fear and love. But he doesn't charge Guts. He charges the apostles. He tears into them with a ferocity that sprays black blood across the snow. He acts as a shield, a living fortress of fur and fury, blocking the path between the horde and the exhausted struggler. Guts stands there, dragon slayer in hand, his brain trying to process the madness. The monster that haunted his nightmares, the beast that warned him of the eclipse, is now fighting. For him? No, not for him. With him. Why? Guts screams over the roar of battle. Zodd decapitates a spider-like apostle and turns his massive head, one horn dripping with gore. Because, struggler, to fight alongside a god is to be a slave, but to fight alongside a man who challenges the gods, that is the only battle worth dying for. That line right there, that's the hook. That's the philosophy that changes everything. Zodd isn't a good guy. He isn't seeking redemption. He is seeking the ultimate high, and he realizes he can't get that from winning easily with Griffith. He can only get it by fighting the impossible war with Guts. The dynamic on the battlefield shifts instantly. Guts, realizing he has a window, doesn't waste time questioning the miracle. He grabs Casca. He signals Rickert. Move! Now! But they can't just run. The apostles are everywhere, and Griffith is still standing there, a beacon of overwhelming power. He raises his hand again, and an invisible force blasts Zodd backward, crashing him into the ruins of the swords. Zodd coughs blood, real red blood. He is outmatched by the hawk, obviously. But he laughs. A deep, guttural laugh. Go, Zodd bellows at Guts. Take the girl. I will hold the line. If you die here, my boredom returns for eternity. Survive, Guts. Survive and grow stronger so that one day you can give me the death I deserve. Guts hesitates, just for a heartbeat. He looks at this monster, this beast who is sacrificing himself, not for love, but for the love of the game, for the respect of the struggle. And in that moment, a silent pact is formed. It's not friendship. It's deeper than that. It's the brotherhood of the damned. Guts turns and runs. He heaves Casca onto his back, Rickert scrambling behind him. They dive into the tree line, the sounds of Zodd's roar and the tearing of flesh echoing behind them. Zodd isn't dead, of course. He is the immortal. But he is buying them time. He is disrupting the flow of causality just enough to let the fish slip through the net. As they run through the darkened forest, the snow turning to slush under their feet, the weight of what just happened settles in. The world has changed. The lines of battle have been redrawn. The Black Swordsman is no longer alone in his physical prowess. He has caught the eye of the god of the battlefield. And Griffith has lost his strongest general. Imagine the campfire that night. Guts, Casca, Puck, and Rickert. The silence is deafening. They expect to be hunted down. They expect Zodd to lead the pack. But the woods are quiet. Then, just as the fire begins to die down, a heavy thud shakes the ground. Guts leaps up, sword ready. From the darkness steps Zodd, back in human form, naked, covered in wounds that are already steaming and knitting together. He looks terrible. He looks magnificent. He walks to the fire, ignoring Rickert's terrified gasp. He sits down across from Guts. He doesn't attack. He doesn't threaten. He simply stares into the flames. The hawk. He let me go, Zodd says, his voice low. He deemed me unworthy of his death. He said a beast belongs in the wild. Zodd looks up, his red eyes locking onto Guts' single eye. So here I am, in the wild. Guts slowly lowers the sword, though he doesn't sheath it. You think I'm going to trust you? You're a monster. I am, Zodd agrees. And you are a madman carrying a slab of iron. We are both walking into the abyss, human. I have decided to walk with you, not to serve you, but to see how far you can go before you break. This is the new reality. Guts has an apostle in his party, not a whimsical elf like Puck or a budding witch like Shirka. He has a 300-year-old killing machine. Think about the implications. Every battle from here on out changes. The trolls in the village, the fight against Grunbeld, the sea god. But the biggest change is the tension. Guts hates apostles. He has sworn to kill them all, and now he has to sleep next to one. He has to trust one to watch his back. It is a constant psychological war. Every time Zodd looks at Casca, Guts grips his sword. Every time Zodd vanishes into the woods to feed, and we don't ask what he feeds on, the party holds its breath. But there is also a dark mentorship forming. Zodd knows the apostles. He knows the God Hand. He knows the history of the Skull Knight. He begins to teach Guts not just how to swing a sword, but how to fight monsters. He teaches him about the astral layers. He teaches him that the Dragon Slayer is soaking up the malice of the dead, becoming a magical weapon. And think about the Berserker armor. That is coming up. In the original timeline, Zodd watches Guts don the armor and fight Grunbeld. In this timeline, Zodd is there. He knows the armor. He recognizes the smell of it. He smells the Skull Knight on it. "Do not wear it, human," Zodd might warn, standing outside the witch's treehouse. "It consumes the soul. It turned my old rival into a hollow shell of bones." "I don't have a choice," Guts would reply, looking at the apostles surrounding them. "Then let us see." Zodd would grin, baring his fangs. "If you are a wolf or a dog." This alliance changes the texture of the story, from a lonely struggle to a clash of titans against the heavens. It validates Guts' struggle. It proves that his will is so strong, it can bend the nature of evil itself. Zodd didn't become good. Guts just became so undeniable that even the darkness wants to be on his side. And that brings us to the end of the beginning. The party is formed. The pieces are set. But the world is vast, and the Kushan Empire is marching. Ganishka is coming. And if you thought Guts fighting Ganishka was epic before, imagine Guts and Zodd side by side, riding into the thunder. The struggle continues. But now, the struggle has teeth. Imagine trying to sleep when there is a tiger in the room. Not a tiger in a cage, not a tamed circus tiger, but a wild, prehistoric predator that smells like dried blood and ozone, sitting 3 feet away from you, staring into the fire, with eyes that glow in the dark. That is the new reality for Guts and his ragtag group. The journey to Enoch Village, which in the original story is a desperate dash through the rain, becomes a psychological thriller of the highest order. Every twig that snaps sounds like a betrayal. Every shadow looks like a claw. You have to understand the sheer insanity of this dynamic. You have Farnese, a former noblewoman clinging to her sanity. Serpico, a man who hides his lethal skill behind a smile but is sweating bullets. Isidro, a kid who wants to be the ultimate swordsman. And Shirka, a young witch who can sense OD. And what does Shirka sense when she looks at Zodd? She senses an abyss. She senses a vortex of violence so deep it makes her nauseous. And yet, there he walks, his heavy boots leaving craters in the mud, flanking Guts like a shadow made of muscle. The tension is palpable. Usually the woods are scary because of what might be in them. Now, the scariest thing in the woods is walking right next to them. But here is the hook. Here is the twist that makes you lean in. Zodd is bored. The random spirits, the minor ghosts, the stray trolls. He doesn't even draw his sword. He just walks through them. He literally walks through a pack of wolves at one point, and they scatter whimpering because they recognize the alpha of alphas. This forces Guts into a strange position. Usually Guts has to fight everything. Now, Guts can actually rest, physically at least. But mentally, he's wired. He can't let his guard down for a second. He knows that if he shows weakness, if he collapses, Zodd might decide the experiment is over and take his head. So, they arrive at Enoch Village. You remember the priest, the barrier, the trolls invading. In the canon, Guts is exhausted, pushing his limits to defend the church. But now, imagine the trolls swarming out of the woods, screaming their guttural cries, expecting to find fearful villagers. Instead, they run into a wall. Zodd stands at the bridge. He isn't transforming. He doesn't need to. He is using a curved sword he picked up from a dead Kushan scout, a weapon too small for his hand, looking like a toothpick. He starts swinging. It isn't a fight. It is landscaping. He is trimming the weeds. Is this the best this layer of the world has to offer? Zodd grumbles, kicking a troll so hard its chest caves in and it flies back into the river. Disappointing. Guts is fighting on the other side, protecting Casca. He sees Zodd effortlessly slaughtering beasts that usually give Guts trouble. It pisses him off. It motivates him. It makes him swing the Dragon Slayer harder. Guts realizes that to keep Zodd's interest, and thus to keep Zodd from killing everyone, he has to perform. He has to be spectacular. The village defense becomes a twisted competition. Guts isn't just fighting for survival. He is fighting for respect. And when the villagers look at them, they don't see a savior and a monster. They see two monsters. They fear Guts almost as much as Zodd. This deepens Guts' isolation, reinforcing that theme that he belongs more to the darkness than the light. Then comes the Cliffoth, the den of trolls, the realm of rot. This is where things get spiritual. Slan appears, the horror princess of the uterine sea. She manifests from the troll Guts, a being of pure corruption. In the original, she tortures Guts, tearing at his soul, giving him that astral wound that haunts him for books. She loves his struggle. She wants him to suffer. But now, Zodd is there. When Slan forms, the air pressure drops. Zodd freezes. His fur stands on end. He knows this presence. It is one of the five. It is a member of the God Hand. Zodd is powerful, yes, but the God Hand are abstract concepts given form. They are gravity. They are void. Zodd cannot cut Slan. Nosferatu, Slan purrs, her voice echoing inside their skulls. I didn't know you kept pets. Zodd growls, a low rumble that vibrates the cavern walls. He steps back. This is key. Zodd is not suicidal. He knows his place in the hierarchy. He cannot fight a God Hand member directly. I am merely an observer, horror princess. Then observe, she laughs, and her wings of intestines lash out at Guts. Guts is slammed against the wall. The Dragon Slayer cuts through her, but she just reforms. It is hopeless. It is the definition of struggle against the inevitable. And Zodd watches. He crosses his arms and watches. This is the test. If Guts dies here against a God Hand, then he was never the ultimate strong one. Zodd won't save him. He can't save him. This moment creates a terrifying friction. We want Zodd to help, but his code forbids it, and his survival instinct screams against it. But Guts does the impossible. He uses the Dragon's Breath cannon arm. He blasts the physical manifestation of Slan. He rips himself free from her embrace. He refuses to die. And as Slan fades, laughing, blown apart by iron and gunpowder, she looks at Zodd. He is delicious, isn't he? She whispers as she dissolves. Zodd looks at Guts, who is kneeling in a pool of blood and troll viscera, chest heaving, the brand bleeding profusely. Zodd smiles, a genuine, terrifying smile. He is durable. This leads us to the mansion of the spirit tree, Flora's sanctuary. This is the calm before the storm. And this is the reunion of the century. The Skull Knight is there. Imagine the scene. Flora's garden, peaceful, magical. Guts walks in, bandaged and broken, and waiting by the door, leaning against a tree, is the Skull Knight, and walking up the path behind Guts is Zodd. The two ancient rivals lock eyes. 300 years of fighting, 300 years of blood. And now they are in a tea party at a witch's house. The air crackles with static electricity. Shirka can barely breathe. "You have chosen a strange path, Immortal," the Skull Knight says, his voice hollow and metallic. "And you continue to rattle your bones in the shadows, King." Zodd retorts, "I am merely watching the sparks fly." "Be wary," Skull Knight warns, looking at Guts. "The path of the struggler is not a spectacle for your amusement. It is a spiral of causality. You may find yourself caught in the current you seek to watch." "I am the current," Zodd boasts. But there is a hint of doubt. He respects the Skull Knight. If the Skull Knight thinks Guts is significant, then Zodd's instinct is correct. They don't fight. It is a truce, a ceasefire born of curiosity and the sanctuary of the witch. But the dialogue establishes that Zodd is playing a dangerous game. He's getting too close to humanity. And then, the fire. Griffith sends his new band of the Hawk to destroy Flora. Grunbeld, the great flame dragon, arrives. This is the main event. In the original, Guts is too injured to fight Grunbeld. He is getting stomped until he gets the berserker armor. But here we have Zodd. Grunbeld marches through the burning forest, his shield massive, his dragon-shaped hammer ready. He sees Guts, broken and bleeding, and then he sees Zodd. "Nosferatu Zodd," Grunbeld booms. "The traitor! The master told us you had gone rogue. I did not believe a warrior of your stature would stoop to babysitting humans." "Grunbeld," Zodd sneers. "You still hide behind that shield? I thought dragons had scales, not steel plates." They clash. It is a battle of titans. Zodd in human form versus Grunbeld. The shockwaves shatter the trees. It is glorious. Zodd is faster, more savage. Grunbeld is a fortress. But Zodd is holding back. He is distracted. He is watching Guts. He knows the new apostles are swarming the mansion. He can't fight Grunbeld and protect the party. Guts realizes this. He sees Zodd struggling to handle the numbers game. He sees his friends in danger. He hears Shirka crying. He feels his own powerlessness. Shirka brings him the armor, the berserker armor, the cursed suit of black iron that eats your life to give you power. Zodd sees the armor. He stops fighting Grunbeld for a second. His eyes widen. He remembers that smell. He remembers the previous owner, the Skull Knight, when he was still human, or something close to it. He remembers the sound of bones breaking under that metal. "Human!" Zodd roars, deflecting a blow from Grunbeld. "Do not touch that." "I have no choice," Guts yells back. The pain is unbearable. His body is falling apart. He needs the edge. "It will consume you. It is a beast that cannot be tamed," Zodd warns. It's rare to hear panic in Zodd's voice, but this is it. He doesn't want his favorite toy to break. He doesn't want Guts to become a hollow shell. He wants a rival, not a corpse. Guts puts it on. Clang. The helmet snaps shut. The shape of the helm twists, the beak turning into the jaws of a wolf. The beast of darkness takes the wheel. The pain vanishes. The fear vanishes. There is only red. Guts launches himself at Grunbeld. He is a blur of black violence. He cracks Grunbeld's shield. He is moving faster than the eye can see. He's fighting like an apostle. Zodd steps back. He watches Guts fight, and for the first time, Zodd feels a chill. This isn't human strength. This is something else. This is OD overflowing. Guts breaks Grunbeld's guard, shatters his skin, forces Grunbeld to release his apostle form, the Crystal Dragon. The fight between Berserker Guts and Crystal Dragon Grunbeld is catastrophic. But here is the change. In the canon, Guts loses control and almost kills Casca. Shirka has to dive into his mind to pull him back. In this version, Guts turns. He has beaten Grunbeld back. He is hyperventilating, the armor groaning. He turns his glowing red eyes toward his friends, toward Casca. The beast wants to destroy everything he loves. He raises the dragon slayer to split Casca in two. Wham! A massive furry hand catches the blade. Zodd stands there, fully transformed now, the Minotaur. He is bleeding from his fight with the other apostles, but he is standing firm. He catches the dragon slayer with one hand, the blade biting into his palm. "Enough!" Zodd bellows. His voice is a physical force. "You fought to protect them, did you not? Do not undo your victory with madness." The beast inside Guts screams. Guts pushes against Zodd. It is a contest of raw strength. The berserker armor versus the immortal Zodd. The ground beneath them cracks and sinks. "Wake up, struggler!" Zodd roars. He headbutts Guts, a massive horned headbutt that rings the armor like a bell. It gives Shirka the opening she needs. She dives into the OD. She pulls Guts back from the abyss. The helmet unlocks. Guts collapses, steam rising from his armor. Zodd stands over him, panting. He looks at his hand, cut deep by the dragon slayer. He looks at the unconscious Guts. He looks at the terrified party. "He is dangerous," Zodd says to Shirka, his voice returning to a low rumble as he shrinks back to human form. That armor, it suits him, but he needs a leash. Grunbeld, wounded and humiliated, retreats with the other apostles. They cannot fight the berserker and Zodd combined. The mansion burns down. The party escapes to the beach. This moment cements the new dynamic. Zodd is not just an ally. He is the barrier between Guts and total self-destruction. He becomes the Dark Mentor. He understands the beast because he is a beast. He starts to teach Guts how to ride the wave of the armor without drowning in it. "You let the rage take the wheel," Zodd tells Guts later as they bandage their wounds on the shoreline. "That is a mistake. The rage is the fuel, not the driver. You must be the steel that holds the fire." Guts looks at Zodd, really looks at him. "Why do you care?" Zodd grins, showing his fangs. "Because when you finally master that armor, our duel will be legendary." This is the end of the chapter. The stakes have escalated. Guts has the ultimate weapon, but it's killing him. Zodd is the only one who can physically keep him in check. They are bound together by blood and iron, heading toward the ocean, heading toward the unknown. The world is getting darker. The monsters are getting bigger, and the line between man and beast is vanishing completely. And wait until they get to the city of Vritannis. Wait until they meet the Kushan Emperor. If you think two monsters are scary, wait until you see what happens when they face a god made of lightning. The smell of Vritannis is the smell of a rotting empire masked by expensive perfume. You have the salt of the sea, the sweat of thousands of soldiers, the incense of the holy sea, and underneath it all, the metallic tang of impending doom. This is where the story shifts gears from a survival horror in the woods to a high-octane war epic. In the original timeline, Guts arrives here tired, looking for a boat, trying to keep his head down. But in this timeline, he walks into the city with a nuclear deterrent wrapped in a cloak, walking right beside him. Zodd in a city is a ticking time bomb. He hates crowds. He hates weaklings. He hates the politicking of the nobles. He walks through the crowded streets of Vritannis like a shark, swimming through a school of tuna. People part ways not because they know who he is, but because their primal instincts scream predator. He wears a massive tattered cloak he stole from a dead giant, hood up, arms crossed, hulking over Guts. And Guts? Guts looks worse than usual. The berserker armor is taking its toll. His hands shake. He has lost some color vision. Food tastes like ash. Zodd notices this. You are fading, human, Zodd rumbles as they sit in a dark corner of a tavern, ignoring the terrified glances of the other patrons. Shut up, Guts grunts, trying to grip his tankard of ale without spilling it. I'm fine. The armor eats the nervous system first, Zodd says casually, as if discussing the weather. Then the bones, then the mind. You are holding the leash of a rabid dog, and it is chewing your arm off. I don't have a choice, Guts repeats, the mantra of his life. There is always a choice. Zodd leans in, his red eyes glowing under the hood. Let me kill them. The Kushan, the holy Iron Chain Knights. I can clear a path to the ship in 1 hour. You rest. This is the seduction of the dark path. Zodd is offering Guts the easy way out. Just let the monster do the work. But Guts refuses. If I stop swinging my sword, I stop being me. And if I stop being me, I can't protect them. He nods toward Casca, who is playing with Shirka. Zodd scoffs. Sentimental nonsense, but have it your way. The struggle makes the meat sweeter. Then comes the ball, the fancy party where Farnese tries to get them a ship. In the cannon, Guts stays outside. Here, Zodd refuses to leave Guts alone. He smells something. He smells tigers. He smells sorcery. The wind carries the scent of beasts, Zodd warns. And sure enough, the Kushan Pishacha, those mutated tigers and crocodiles, burst into the ballroom. The nobles scream. It is chaos. Guts draws the dragon slayer, but before he can even swing, a black blur moves past him. Zodd doesn't even draw his sword. He grabs a Pishacha tiger by the throat and slams it into the marble floor so hard the impact cracks the foundation of the building. He rips the beast's jaw off with his bare hands. The nobles stop screaming and start staring. They don't know who to be more afraid of, the monsters or the giant man tearing the monsters apart. Serpico watches Zodd with a mixture of awe and terror. He realizes that his carefully laid plans to duel Guts are meaningless if Zodd decides to intervene. Zodd is the chaotic variable that ruins all strategy. But the real threat isn't the tigers. It is the mist. The fog rolls in from the harbor, thick and unnatural. Ganishka is here, the Kushan emperor, the man who wants to challenge the god hand. Ganishka appears as a giant face, formed of mist and lightning, hovering over the city. His voice booms like thunder shattering windows. I sense a familiar presence. Zodd steps out onto the balcony, throwing off his cloak. He stands there bare-chested, scars glowing in the lightning flashes. Ganishka, he roars back, you have grown fat on your throne. Nosferatu, Zodd, Ganishka laughs, the sound vibrating through the floorboards. The stray dog of the hawk. I heard you bit the hand that feeds you. Have you come to join me? Together we could crush the White Hawk. This is a pivotal moment. A what-if within a what-if. Zodd could join Ganishka. It would make sense. Ganishka fights against Griffith, but Zodd spits on the ground. Join you. You're a coward who hides behind magic and armies. You seek to rule the world. I seek only the fight. We are not the same. Ganishka is insulted. He unleashes the lightning. Massive bolts of electricity arc down toward the balcony. Guts steps in front of Casca, raising the dragon slayer as a lightning rod. The electricity hits the sword, channeling through Guts, frying his nerves. He screams, the armor clamping down, the helmet forming the beast shape. Idiot! Zodd barks. He grabs Guts and throws him back. Zodd transforms. The full Minotaur form bursts out, destroying the balcony. He leaps into the sky, flying straight into the mist face of Ganishka. He is a physical bullet fired at a storm cloud. He slashes at the mist, but it is like cutting smoke. The lightning burns his fur, but he doesn't care. He is buying time. "Get to the ship," Zodd bellows down at the party. "I will distract the cloud." But Guts, now fully in berserker mode, doesn't run. The beast of darkness doesn't run. Guts sees the massive Kundalini, the snake-baron apostle, slithering up from the docks. A massive cobra man, Guts charges. The fight between berserker Guts and the Kundalini is savage. Guts is moving like a pinball, bouncing off walls, slashing, tearing. But he is reckless. He is taking hits he shouldn't take. His bones are snapping, and the armor is forcing them back together with spikes. Zodd, fighting the lightning in the sky, looks down. He sees Guts destroying himself. He sees the light of his rival flickering out. "Do not break before I break you." Zodd dives. He ignores Ganishka. He crashes down onto the docks, landing right on top of the Kundalini's tail. The impact creates a crater. Guts turns, growling, ready to attack Zodd. The friend or foe recognition is gone. "Shirka," Zodd yells, holding the Kundalini's head in a chokehold. "Fix him, now!" Shirka astral projects onto Guts' back. She pulls him out of the madness. Guts stumbles, the red light fading from his eyes. He sees Zodd wrestling a giant snake demon. "Cut its head off, struggler," Zodd commands. "Do it now." Guts doesn't hesitate. He runs up Zodd's back, literally using the apostle as a stepping stone, launches himself into the air, and brings the dragon slayer down. Clang! The Kundalini is decapitated. They land on the dock, breathing heavy. The mist of Ganishka is swirling, reforming. The Kushan army is closing in. Thousands of soldiers, pishacha, elephants. "We cannot win this here," Zodd admits, wiping slime from his face. "The numbers are too great. The Emperor is too vast." They retreat to the ship, the seahorse. Roderick, the captain, is losing his mind. He has a demon, a berserker, a witch, and a bunch of kids boarding his vessel. But he casts off. As the ship pulls away from the burning city of Ritanis, we get one of the most chilling scenes of this new timeline. Guts collapses on the deck. The armor releases him. He is a mess of bruises and blood. Casca rushes to him. Zodd stands at the stern, watching Ganishka's mist form fade in the distance. He knows what is coming. He knows Griffith is coming to Britannis. He knows the wind is shifting. Later that night, under the moonlight, the Skull Knight appears on the mast of the ship. He looks down at Zodd and Guts. "The causality deepens," Skull Knight says. "You have altered the flow, Immortal. By saving the struggler, you have delayed the inevitable." "I delayed my boredom," Zodd grunts, leaning against the railing. "The hawk will come for Ganishka. And when he does, the world will crack." "Indeed," Skull Knight agrees. "The world transformation is at hand. The layers will merge. The Fantasia is coming. And you—" He looks at Guts. "You are walking into the belly of the beast with a beast at your side. Be careful that you do not become what you hate." Guts looks at his hands. They are trembling uncontrollably. He looks at Zodd. "Why did you help me back there? You could have left me to the lightning." Zodd looks out at the dark ocean. "Because, Guts, when the world turns into a nightmare, the only people who make sense are the monsters. And you are the most human monster I have ever met." This sets up the journey on the boat. The boat arc is infamous for being long, but with Zodd on board, it is a pressure cooker. Zodd takes up space. He eats their supplies or catches giant fish and sea monsters, throwing them on deck like, "Here, cook this." He trains Isidro, can you imagine? Zodd teaching a kid how to kill? "You hesitate," Zodd tells Isidro, who is practicing with his daggers. "You look for the opening. Do not look. Make the opening. Break the bone, and the opening appears. Isidro is terrified, but fascinated. Zodd becomes the scary uncle who gives you knives for your birthday. But the real development is between Zodd and Guts. They start to share war stories, not in a friendly way, but in a respectful way. Guts asks about the old days, about the Skull Knight. He was a king once, Zodd reveals one night, staring at the stars, a king who united a continent, and he lost it all in a single night of eclipse. He wears his failure like armor, just as you do. I don't wear failure, Guts spits. I wear rage. Same thing, Zodd shrugs. It keeps you warm. And then, the sea god, the island arc. This is where the scale goes Lovecraftian. The sea god is a mountain of flesh and tentacles. In the canon, Guts goes inside it. It is a suicide mission. Here, Zodd looks at the massive creature rising from the ocean. Finally, he grins. Big game. They go in together, Guts and Zodd diving into the mouth of a god. Imagine the visuals. The inside of the sea god is a bioorganic nightmare of stomach acid and heartbeats. Guts is hacking through the flesh walls. Zodd is tearing through the parasites. They are a wrecking crew. The heart is deeper. Shirka's voice echoes in their heads. You must destroy the heart. The pressure is immense. The sound of the sea god's heartbeat is like a hammer against their brains. Guts starts to succumb to the armor again. The beast is screaming, "Kill Zodd! Kill him now! Take his head!" Zodd sees Guts twitching. He grabs Guts by the breastplate. "Focus! If you lose your mind here, we both digest. Do you want your grave to be whale shit? Or do you want to die on a hill of swords?" "Hill of swords!" Guts yells, snapping back to reality. They reach the heart. It is massive, beating with a deafening rhythm. The parasites swarm them, thousands of them. Zodd goes full apostle. He becomes the wall. He blocks the tunnel, holding back the tide of monsters. "Destroy it," Zodd roars, his fur matted with slime. "I will hold the line." Guts activates the cannon arm. He charges the dragon slayer with every ounce of odd he has left. He jumps. He drives the sword into the heart of the sea god. The scream of the god shatters reality. The island begins to collapse. They have to escape. But the water is rushing in. Guts is drowning. The armor is too heavy. He sinks. He sees the light of the surface fading. He thinks of Casca. He thinks, this is it. Then a hand grabs his cape. A clawed hand. Zodd pulls him up. Zodd swims with the strength of a torpedo, dragging the armored Guts through the collapsing throat of the beast, bursting out of the water and launching them onto the shore of the island. They lay there, coughing up seawater. The sea god dies in the background, a mountain collapsing into the sea. Zodd stands up, shakes the water off his fur like a dog, and looks down at Guts. "You are heavy, struggler," Guts laughs, a dry, painful laugh. "You're not so light yourself. This bond, forged in the belly of a god, is now unbreakable. But the greatest challenge is yet to come. They are approaching Elfhelm, the land of magic, the land where Casca's mind might be restored. And Zodd is an apostle, a creature of the interstice. Entering Elfhelm is painful for him. The pure magic burns his skin. The Danan, the Flower Storm monarch, will not welcome a demon. As the island of the elves comes into view, shining with ethereal light, Zodd stops at the bow of the ship. He winces. "I cannot go there," Zodd says quietly. "The light, it rejects me." Guts walks up to him. He understands. "You'll wait here?" "I will wait," Zodd nods. "But be warned, Guts. If you fix the girl, the Hawk will know. The connection between them is absolute. If you restore her mind, you invite him to your doorstep." "I know," Guts says, gripping the railing. "Let him come." He will, Zodd promises, and when he does, I will decide once and for all who is the true master of this world. The foreshadowing here is heavy. Zodd knows something Guts doesn't. He knows that Griffith isn't just a king anymore. He's becoming something omnipresent. And Zodd suspects that the boy who visits them on full moon nights, the boy who calms the beast armor, has a scent that is terrifyingly familiar. The chapter ends with the ship docking at Skellig, Guts helping Casca off, Zodd staying behind on the rocky shore, sitting like a gargoyle, watching the fog. He is the guardian at the gate, but guardians can be bypassed, and the moon is rising, a full moon. The Moonlight Boy is coming, and Zodd is about to meet the child who shares the blood of the hawk and the struggler. The silence of Elfhelm is not peace. It is a holding pattern. It is the deep breath before the scream. While Guts and Shirka venture into the corridor of dreams to put the shattered pieces of Casca's mind back together, Zodd remains on the shoreline. The barrier of the island, that dense, high-purity ode that keeps evil out, burns his skin like acid. He can't go further. He sits on a jagged rock, his massive back to the magical forest, staring out at the gray, churning sea. The waves crash against the cliffs, a rhythmic pounding that mimics the heartbeat of the world. And Zodd waits. You have to understand the tragedy of this moment. Zodd has spent 3 centuries looking for a fight that makes him feel alive. He found it in Guts. He found a companion who understands the language of violence. But here, at the end of the world, in a place of healing and light, Zodd is incompatible. He is a creature of the dark. He knows, deep in his black soul, that he doesn't belong in the happy ending. He is a weapon of war, and wars eventually end. Or do they? As the moon rises, full and blindingly white, the atmosphere shifts. The hair on Zodd's arm stands up. It's not the magic of the elves. It's something older, something familiar. He smells it before he sees it. The scent of the hawk. But it's mixed with something else. The scent of the struggler. From the shadows of the rocks, a child steps out. The Moonlight Boy. Long dark hair, wide eyes, skin that seems to glow. He walks barefoot over the sharp stones, making no sound. He stops in front of Zodd. Now, imagine this interaction, a 300-year-old demon lord and a mute, magical child. Zodd growls, baring his fangs. His instincts are screaming at him, master, enemy, master, enemy. The signals are crossed. The OD radiating from this boy is overwhelming. It is the same pressure Zodd felt at the Hill of Swords, but it is innocent. It is pure. What are you? Zodd rumbles, his hand inching toward his sword. You smell like him, but you have his eyes. He means Guts. The boy doesn't answer. He just looks at Zodd with a profound sadness. He reaches out a small hand and touches Zodd's knee. The contact sends a shockwave through Zodd's body. For a split second, Zodd sees a vision. He sees a world without the God Hand. He sees a world where the struggle is just life. Not a war against destiny, but just living. It terrifies him more than any battle. Get away! Zodd roars, swatting the boy's hand away, scrambling back. The great Nosferatu Zodd, who fought wild, and Ganishka, is rattled by a toddler, and then the scream. From deep within the island, past the cherry blossom trees, past the Danan's throne, Casca screams. It is the scream of memory returning, the scream of the eclipse remembered. It echoes across the astral plane, shattering the peace of the island. The birds stop singing. The wind dies. Zodd stands up. He knows that sound. That is the dinner bell for the darkness. It is done, he whispers. She's awake. But the awakening acts as a beacon. The boy on the beach looks up at the sky. His eyes roll back. His body begins to convulse. The moonlight intensifies, beaming down on the boy like a spotlight from heaven. The boy's flesh begins to ripple, to expand, to change. Zodd watches in horror and fascination. The small, fragile body of the child tears open, and from within emerges the White Hawk. Griffith, reborn in the flesh, right there on the beach of Skellig. He stands naked in the surf, water dripping from his silver hair, looking like a fallen angel who just remembered how to fly. You. Zodd breathes. He draws his sword. Griffith looks at Zodd. His eyes are void. There is no emotion. Zodd, Griffith says, his voice like a choir of ice, you have strayed far from the path. I made my own path, Zodd bellows. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't kneel. He charges. This is the difference between the old Zodd and the ally Zodd. The old Zodd would have submitted to the superior power. This Zodd, he swings for the head. The sword connects with nothing. An invisible wall of force stops the blade an inch from Griffith's neck. The impact shatters the ground beneath Zodd's feet, turning the rock to dust. Griffith doesn't even blink. He raises a hand. Bang! Zodd is blasted backward, crashing through the cliff face, buried under tons of rubble. By the time Zodd digs himself out, the sky is cracking. The branches of the world spiral tree are descending, tearing through the dimension of the island. The sky is full of apostles. The new band of the Hawk has arrived. The war demons, Hailstorm, Rakshas, they are invading Elfhelm. Guts comes running from the interior, dragon slayer in hand, his face a mask of panic. He sees the burning trees, he sees the giants falling, and he sees Griffith standing on the hill looking down at the chaos with that serene, godlike detachment. Griffith, Guts screams. The sound is raw. It tears his throat. Zodd lands next to Guts. He is bleeding from the head, one horn broken. He looks like a wreck. He is here, struggler. The dream is over. We have to get Casca out, Guts yells, looking back. Shirki and Farnese are bringing the newly awakened Casca, who is in a state of shock, barely able to stand. There is no out, Zodd spits blood. Look around. The island is surrounded. The sky is a vortex of monsters. Griffith raises his hand, and the gravity around them intensifies. Guts falls to one knee, the berserker armor creaking under the pressure. It's the same move Femto used at the eclipse, the crushing weight of authority. I will not let you. Guts grunts, trying to stand, blood pouring from his nose. I will not let you take her again. Griffith descends, floating gently toward them. He ignores Guts. He looks at Casca. I have come to bring you home. Home. Falconia, the cage of light. Zodd looks at Guts. He sees the man who defied death for 3 years. He sees the man who taught him that immortality is cheap, but survival is expensive. Zodd realizes that if Griffith takes Casca, Guts breaks. Not physically, but spiritually. The struggle ends. Guts becomes just another victim. And Zodd cannot allow the struggle to end. Guts! Zodd roars, fighting the gravity. His muscles tear. His bones fracture. He forces himself to stand upright in the presence of a god. Do you remember what I told you? At the Hill of Swords? Guts looks at him, vision blurring. I said I would see how far you could go. Zodd grins. It's a grotesque, bloody, beautiful grin. Show me. Zodd transforms. But this time, he doesn't just turn into the Minotaur. He pushes his OD to the absolute limit. He tears his own soul apart to fuel the transformation. He grows larger, darker, his fur matted with the astral energy of the island. He becomes a black hole of violence. He lunges at Griffith. Griffith shifts his gaze. For the first time, there is a flicker of annoyance. He blasts Zodd with a wave of telekinetic force that could flatten a mountain. Zodd takes it. He doesn't dodge. He takes the full force of a god's wrath to the chest. His rib cage explodes. His flesh burns. But momentum is a funny thing. Zodd wraps his massive arms around Griffith's force field. He squeezes. "Go!" Zodd screams at Guts. "Take the witch! Take the girl! Jump!" He is referring to the world's spiral tree branches, the interdimensional highway. Guts hesitates. He can't leave Zodd. They are allies. They are brothers in blood. "Go, you fool!" Zodd's voice is breaking. He is dying. The light of Femto is disintegrating him. "Give me a death that matters. Make my story legendary." Guts grabs Casca. He grabs Shirka. He looks at Zodd one last time. He sees the monster who became his friend. He sees the sacrifice. "Zodd." Guts whispers. Guts turns and runs. He leaps onto the shifting branches of the world tree, disappearing into the astral stream, escaping the island as it collapses under the weight of the invasion. Back on the cliff, Zodd is alone with Griffith. His body is failing. His regeneration has stopped. He is holding the line for a battle that is already over. Griffith floats out of Zodd's crushing grip. He looks at the dying apostle. "You chose a human over your own kind. You chose mortality." Zodd falls to his knees. He is dissolving, turning into ash and shadow. He looks up at the White Hawk, and he laughs. A low, wheezing laugh. "I chose the struggle," Zodd rasps. "And he will kill you, Hawk. Someday. He will stand on a pile of your dreams, and he will swing that sword. And you will know. Fear." Griffith says nothing. He simply watches as Nosferatu Zodd, the immortal, the god of the battlefield, crumbles into dust. The wind catches the ash and blows it out to sea. The hook here is the permanence. Zodd is gone. He didn't just die. He was erased. But his death bought Guts the one thing he never had, a clean escape. Cut to Guts. He wakes up in a field of flowers, not Elfhelm, somewhere else, somewhere safe. Casca is sleeping next to him. The dragon slayer lies in the grass. It looks different. The blade is darker. It absorbed the ode of Zodd's death. It feels heavier. Guts sits up. He touches the hilt of the sword. He feels a hum, a vibration, a deep, distant roar. The struggle continues. But Guts is different now. He isn't fighting just for revenge. He isn't fighting just for survival. He is fighting to honor the debt. He carries the weight of the beast on his back. He stands up. The sun is rising. A new day. A darker day. But a day nonetheless. He puts the sword on his back. He looks at the horizon, where the Falconia kingdom glitters in the distance. "I'm coming," Guts says to the wind. He isn't talking to Griffith. He is talking to Zodd. The narrative ends here, but the feeling lingers. The story of Berserk is about how trauma shapes us. In this version, the trauma of Zodd's death shapes Guts into the ultimate warrior. He has absorbed the essence of his greatest rival. He is no longer just the Black Swordsman. He is the heir to the title of the ultimate strong one. And somewhere in the deep astral layers, a beast is roaring in the void, waiting for the final clash. This what if doesn't fix the world. It doesn't make Berserk a happy story. It makes it a legend. It turns the subtext of respect between Guts and Zodd into the text of the story. It shows that even monsters can find purpose, and even the damned can perform a miracle. The final image? A close-up of the Dragon Slayer. There, etched into the rough iron near the hilt, is a single scratch. It looks like a horn.